Do we really need to do water changes every single week? Does feeding frozen foods make fish more aggressive at feeding time? And what do we do if we need to cycle a tank in a hurry? I'm going to answer all of those questions and pick an interesting comment of the week on this episode of Tank Talk. Hey folks, it's John with Kids Tropical. Super excited to be with you for another easygoing, laid-back episode of Tank Talk. If you want to participate in this show, if you want to get your questions answered, put them down in the comment section below, and you never know, I might select your question to answer right on an episode of Tank Talk. But anyway, I don't even know what I'm saying at this point. Let's get right into the first question. Okay, so the first question comes from Ben African Cichlids. The question, aquaponic. I have a 2-year-old 75-gallon overstocked Mbuna / Tropheus tank, 35 fish. There's 280 pounds of flat limestone, so lots of caves. The fish are all getting along. It's over-filtered by 2 canister filters. I do water change weekly, sometimes bi-weekly. I have a basket in the tank full of pothos plants to do aquaponic. Here's my question. When I do water change bi-weekly, the nitrate never climbs to more than 5 parts per million. Do you think I stretch the time between water changes even more, or do we do water changes for more than just control of nitrate level? Okay, so I'm one of these people that I believe we do water changes for more than just nitrate control. We do things to keep it clean. We keep it looking crisp and nice and all of that kind of stuff. So my answer is yes, we do water changes for more than just nitrate control. But I think what you're wondering, obviously, because this is what you asked me, is can you stretch out the time between water changes? And the answer to the question is yes, your tank will tell you whether or not you can do that. It says when you do water changes bi-weekly, the nitrate never climbs to more than 5 parts per million. Good, that's a good thing. And if it's not a problem, and your fish aren't having a problem, and the tank's not getting all nasty and scummy and brown, then sure, stretch out the time between water changes. For me personally, I like to be on a routine. It just makes me feel like I'm doing the right thing. I like to do my water changes every single week. Lisa, on her tank, she does water changes whenever she wants to. And that's fine too. But for me, for this tank and for my nanos, I just like to have a weekly routine. I just do the same thing every single week. It keeps everything good, and I feel like I'm being a better fish keeper by doing that. But you certainly don't have to. If there's not a problem in your tank, then you can keep things going and do water changes when you need to. Again, your tank will tell you when you need to do them. So I hope that answers your question. If you're keeping your nitrates down by having plants in the tank and all of that and big filtration and all of that, then good for you. And sure, you can delay the amount of time between water changes, but let's not get out of control. Let's keep up on our maintenance. All right, so the next question comes from Kim Stokes. She asks, have you ever noticed aggression spikes directly following feeding frozen foods? My angels and cichlids both pester one another for about 30 minutes following a frozen food's feeding. I have noticed after flake and pellet feedings that this does not occur. The aggression is not fierce, so it won't prevent me from feeding frozen foods. I'm just curious. So I have not seen that problem happen, where aggression goes up after feeding frozen foods. My instinct tells me that that's happening because frozen foods would be the thing that is the closest to feeding live foods. These animals, it's their instinct to have to scavenge and find food and compete with other fish to get that food. And so in the wild, which your fish probably have never been in the wild, most of our fish haven't, but in the wild they would be competing with other fish, pushing them out of the way so that they can get to whatever that is that they're trying to eat. So that, to me, is what would make sense if that is happening after feeding live food, not live foods, but frozen foods, like things like bloodworms and brine shrimp and things like that. This is like a delicacy for these fish. So they're going to really want to go after it and get it. And so I could see maybe there being a little bit more aggression after that. And if it's happening 30 minutes later, it's probably because the fish just feel like there's more out there. And they're like, I don't see any more, but there's got to be some around here somewhere, and I want it to be mine, so I'm going to fight off all of these other fish to make sure when that other little worm falls, I'm going to be the one that gets it. That's what my instinct tells me. I could certainly be wrong, but the other thing I guess would be that it is such a good source of nutrition for them that maybe it gives them almost like a Gatorade energy boost. And all of a sudden, they're just feeling spunky and want to run around and wreak havoc. I don't know, but I haven't seen that problem, so I can't tell you from my own personal experience, but that's what I'm guessing is why it happens, because it is a delicacy. It's almost, it's like a special treat for them, and so they want to make sure that they're going to get it and the other fish won't. So I don't know. That's what I'm guessing, and I hope that made sense. And now for my favorite segment of every week, the comment of the week segment. I take a comment from somewhere on my YouTube channel and I highlight it here in these videos. This one, I'm not even going to make an attempt at this person's name. What the hell is beta? Or whatever they are talking about. For God's sake, please learn to speak. This has got nothing to do with accents. This is just wrong. The fish are from the genus beta. Pronounce it like better would be better. Less false and closer to the real thing. All the criticism for saying words improperly, yet you have no idea how to use punctuation, spell, or capitalize. So somebody thought they would run to my defense and say it's more important how you care for the fish than how you pronounce it. Yeah, that makes total sense. But that wasn't going to fly with this guy. Well, sure. But if that guy says vases and nanotanks are perfect with what? 5 gallons of water? Even if he then pleads for a real aquarium, that completely sends the wrong message. Such tiny containers are not okay for any fish. No ifs, ands, buts. If he really cares about fish, he has to say these are wrong. But he did not. So correct pronunciation would be the least he could do. But he doesn't try there either. So this individual pretty much had a problem with everything that we did. This was on the 10 things you should know about betas. I said betas, and I don't care if you don't like it. And freaked out about the way I say beta. Doesn't like that. Okay, that's fine. You got two groups of people. People that say beta, people that say beta. Not one part is better than the other. I do think that the appropriate way to say it is beta, but I've always said beta, and so I don't care if people don't like it. I'm sorry, I just don't. I mean, I know so many people that say beta. But this was a huge thing. The way I say beta, the way Lisa says beta, and the way Lisa says pleco. Oh, good God, on our plecos video with 10 things, people lost their minds. I still get comments every day about people talking about the way Lisa says pleco. That's just the way she says it. But that was this first person's problem. And then when Becky came to my defense, he was like, well, she got me there, so I got to figure something else out. I'm going to talk about how he says vases and 1 gallon tanks are perfectly fine for betas. That's going to be my problem now. Well, let's just watch something, shall we? If you're considering buying a beta, the first thing that you need to do is get this idea out of your head that these fish are going to be happy in a small cup or a vase. Fish are no different. They want to swim around and exercise and explore. They're not going to be able to do that if you put them in a small vase or an old rum bottle. There are tons of nano aquariums out there today that are perfect for betas. A lot of these nano tanks have built-in filtration, built-in lighting. It makes them very easy to maintain. And they look really cool too. Look around, they're everywhere. They're the most popular thing going right now. Just because an animal will survive in something doesn't mean that they're going to live a long, happy, and healthy life. Do the right thing. Put a beta in an aquarium, not a vase or a cup. There are people that even put these fish in flower vases and rum bottles to make some kind of stupid artistic statement. Yes, I said stupid artistic statement. Listen, whether you call them betas or betas, these are fish that shouldn't be treated any different than any others. They need a well-maintained aquarium and deserve to be given the best life possible. If you want one of these fish because you think they'll look cute in a little cup on your desk, just stay away from them. It's just not right. It's pretty interesting, isn't it, that we can say something over and over and over again in a video and the person still says that we said that it was perfect? I don't know. This is dumb. Why am I doing this? But anyway, really the big thing about this was the way I say beta. I know that there's going to be beta people out there that hate me for that, and that's fine. I mean, it is what it is. But I've just always said that, and you know, I just can't change my brain. It's just there. It's in my head, and it's not going anywhere, and that sucks, but it is what it is. So if you don't like the way I say beta, whenever I say beta, just stop watching the video, whatever. But anyway, yeah, and thank you, Becky. I'm not going to try to say your last name. Thank you for coming to my defense. That was very nice of you, but anyway, you can't win. There's no way you were going to get the last word here. He was going to keep finding new things about this video that he hated to make sure that you, at the end of the day, were wrong. And everybody, including me, especially me, we were all wrong, and we're all going to hell, and we're all terrible people. And anyway, let's move on. Last question today comes from Ed. I'm not even going to try to say your last name, Ed, because I don't want to say it wrong. Thanks for the videos. Keep up the great work. Quick question. Just put my young Jack Dempsey in my new 100-gallon used brand new filter and air stone bubbler that's making it like a river almost. Cycled the tank for 48 hours. They said it was actually pretty good. Wanted to cycle longer, but had to put her in there to keep her from eating a new baby I bought. Now she won't eat hardly at all. She even acts like a hungry Jack Dempsey, but still not eating like she was. Any tips? Oh, temp is in the high 70s. Thank you, KG. Remember when we talked last week about Facebook bullies? This is the kind of thing that if somebody was to put this on Facebook, they would just get nailed for it. And this is all the reason why I'm not on Facebook. But the reason why you would get nailed for this, Ed, and I'm not nailing you, that sounded weird, but is because you said you cycled it for 48 hours. Isn't that what you said? 48 hours? I'm trying to find it now. 48 hours, yeah. Okay, you can't cycle a tank in 48 hours. It just can't be done. So people would just jump all over that and call you names and say you're stupid and all that kind of stuff, which, you know, that's not the right way to handle things, and certainly not the way that I'm going to do it. Okay, here's the thing. Let's break this down a little bit. First thing is, you're doing good. You put a Jack Dempsey in a 100-gallon tank with brand new filter and an air stone that makes it almost like a river. Not really sure what that means, but you can't cycle a tank in 48 hours. You can't do it. You're doing the right thing by giving this fish a good tank, and that's awesome. But let's not think that we can cycle it in 48 hours. Had it tested, they said it was actually pretty good. Well, of course, because there has not been anything that's happened yet in that 48-hour time frame that would cause the water to be bad. It's only one fish in there, I think. And so not a lot's going to happen with the water, meaning like a huge ammonia spike or something like that, really isn't going to happen that fast. So your water will test perfectly because it hasn't had a chance to go bad yet. So this is something, I'm not calling you a new fish keeper, Ed. I'm not doing that because I don't know you. But this is a very common thing that happens. And I think I've probably talked about this in every episode of Tank Talk so far, where people say I cycled the tank and I tested the water and it was perfect. And what is not understood by new fish keepers or experienced fish keepers that just don't necessarily understand the nitrogen cycle is that if the cycle has not happened, your water is going to test good. It's going to say perfect ammonia, perfect nitrate, perfect nitrite. It's going to test perfectly every single time. And that's why it's one of those things where when fish stores say, bring me in your water, I'll test it to make sure your tank is cycled, that's not really all that smart. It's more when we had people bring us water to test. It was, you're having a problem? Okay, bring us in your water. But if somebody runs their tank for a month and says, okay, I want to see if it's cycled, can I bring you a test? That doesn't really make any sense, because if the cycle has not happened, the water's going to test perfect. So I hope that makes sense. Of course it tested good if you only had the tank running for 48 hours with one fish in it. So there you go. So the fish is not eating hardly at all. She even acts like a hungry Jack Dempsey, but still not eating. So here's the thing, okay? Fish are going to have to settle in for a little bit when you move them into a new tank. It's not uncommon for you to put a fish in a new tank. It's a stressful thing, and they're not going to eat for a couple of days. That's not uncommon. It's also not uncommon to put fish in and they immediately eat. I mean, you never really know. It depends on that fish's individual personality, but it could be that. It could be that the fish is not used to her new environment yet. The way the water flows, the decorations, all the different things going on, this is all new to her, stresses her out. She doesn't want to eat. Could be that. She could be sick. There's God knows what could be wrong with her there. Whenever fish have something internally going on with them, whether it be parasites or some type of infection or something like that, they're not going to want to eat. So that's very normal also. I don't think that it has anything to do with your cycle. If you were farther along in this process, I would say, well, your ammonia might be spiking up, and that's almost like a human being being in a room filling up with smoke. You're not going to be all that hungry and want to eat in a situation like that either. But I don't necessarily think that that's the case here. I think that it sounds to me like it's one of the first two things I said, not necessarily ammonia spiking. I think it's more the fish is getting used to the new environment, or the fish might be sick. So hopefully it's not too late when you see this response, because it's going to be several weeks from when I'm actually recording it. But anyway, hopefully it's not too late. Hopefully you've gotten everything under control. But the biggest thing that I wanted to harp on here is cycling in 48 hours. I'm sure it was just a typo. You didn't mean to say cycled for two days. You meant to say I let it run for 2 days, because you're not going to cycle a tank in 2 days. And that was what I really wanted to get across here, is there is no magic formula. Yes, I suppose there is a way you could have, what am I saying? There's no way that you're going to cycle it in 48 hours. It's just not going to be something that you're going to be able to do. So I wanted to make sure that that was very clear. In your situation, I would have done the exact same thing you did. I would have put the fish in there. You got to get it out of there because you don't want other problems to happen in the old tank. I would have done the exact same thing. But I would have paid very close attention to the chemistry of the water while the cycling process is happening, because I don't want to lose that fish. So hopefully that's what you're doing, because it's been a while. You put this up 2 weeks prior to me doing this video, and it's like 5-6 weeks by the time this video goes up. So hopefully you've gotten everything under control. Why don't you let me know in the comment section that you have, because I'm curious to know how things turned out. So anyway, Ed, I don't think I answered a single bit of your question, but that's kind of how this works. I just kind of ramble on and we'll see where it goes. That's what I do with these Tank Talk episodes. But anyway, fish is either trying to get used to its environment or it's sick. Hopefully that helps you out there, and hopefully the problem is solved by now. So there you go, another episode of Tank Talk Down. I'm having a whole lot of fun with this series, folks. I hope you are too. If you are, do me the favor of clicking that like button. That shows me that you're enjoying the series and that you want to see me continue doing these. I have a lot of fun with them, and I can't wait to sit down and record some more of them. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you want to see your question answered, put it down in the comment section below, and you never know, I might pick yours. So there you go, another one down. See you next week.